Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video, we are going to be talking about Letha, what it is and how you can celebrate it whether you're in the broom closet or out of it. So when is Letha and what actually is it? Well, Letha is a celebration of the summer solstice, and different traditions celebrate it slightly differently. Some people will celebrate it on the summer solstice itself on the 21st of June, while other people will celebrate it for several days, generally between the 20th and the 23rd of June each year. Now, Letha is also known as midsummer, or the summer solstice, and it marks the longest day and the shortest night of the year. It's a transitional period between the light half of the year and the dark half of the year, because from Letha onwards, the nights get longer and the days get shorter, and we slowly enter into the darker half of the year. Now, there are lots and lots of traditions that surround Letha, and I am definitely not going to be able to talk about all of them, but I will be mentioning just a few of them in this video. Now, Letha is primarily celebrated by Wiccans, especially in this particular format. But if you are pagan or simply a witch, you can also celebrate it as well. So Letha is considered to be the time where the god and goddess are married. They are in unison. The goddess is heavily pregnant with child, and the god and the goddess at this time of year are considered to be at their most abundant, most potent and most powerful. And it is believed that their energy and their abundance passes on to the earth and to the land. And so everything is basically going nuts at this time of year. The trees are all in leaf, the grass is very green, and all of the crops and animals are abundant and growing, and they are strong. It is a time of the year where the god and the goddess, being in unison, are at their most powerful, but it is also a transitional period, because at Letha, during the summer solstice, it is believed that the Holly King battles the Oak King for his position on the throne. The Holly King succeeds the Oak King, and this is what brings in the dark half of the year. Now, many people believe that the Holly King and the Oak King are two different sides of the horned god, which is found within Wicca. And this battle between sides at this time of year is almost a folkloric representation of the transition from the light half of the year into the dark half of the year. And it is largely what this festival is all about. It's all about the sun, it's all about the earth and the prosperity and the happiness that goes on around us at this time of year. But it is also about the change and the transition. It has long been recognized that even ancient civilizations acknowledge the changing of the seasons, and especially the marking of significant days of the year, such as Letha. The summer solstice, or Letha, is the longest day and the shortest night of the year, but it is also a time to acknowledge the fact that the days are going to get shorter. From Letha onwards, the nights get longer, the days get shorter, and we enter into this alternative, darker half of the year. Now, it's not all about gods and goddesses. Especially at this time of year, there is something known as the trooping of the fairies. Now, this is especially prevalent within Celtic countries or countries with a very Celtic background. It is believed that this time of year, the fae that exist within this plane gather together in large groups, and they travel from site to site as they migrate across countries. Now, it is believed that these fairies, while on their travels, will stop at people's houses and collect offerings of food and of drink and of items as they continue on their journey. So it's a really, really wonderful time to connect with the fae if you aren't already, or to even just look into doing some research on the fae and leaving out offerings. It's a really wonderful time to be doing that. So if you happen to be outside around Letha and you start hearing phantom music and the sound of dancing and celebrations, you might well have been witness to the trooping of the fairies as they go past your home. Now, as with all of the Sabbats, there are a lot of correspondences and a lot of different ways that you can celebrate it. So first things first, let's talk about the correspondences. Now, these can be used in spellwork and ritual, in amulets, talismans, in altar decorations, in home decorations. You can really take these correspondences and adapt them to what you are able to do to celebrate this wonderful holiday. Now, the first correspondence I'm going to be talking about are those of colours. Now, colour plays a significant part at Letha because it is a very bright, vibrant, sunny holiday. And so because of that, a lot of the colours really represent the solar energy and almost the fun that comes with Letha. Now, the main colours for Letha are blue, green and gold. These represent fertility, abundance, prosperity, but also the sun. And if you want to work with the energy of the sun during Letha, other good colours to work with are red and orange as well as gold. These all really closely represent solar energy. So the herbs of Letha are mugwort, thyme, rose, vervain, chamomile, honeysuckle, oak, lavender and St. John's wort. Now, there are likely many hundreds of different herbs that you can work with at Letha, but these are just a few of the most common ones. Now, the crystals to work with at Letha are jade, emerald, topaz, amber, tiger's eye, onyx, cinnabar and emerald. Now, these are really wonderful crystals to work with at this time of year. Of course, not everyone is going to be able to have access to emerald or topaz, but jade, tiger's eye and amber are all pretty easy to find at metaphysical stores and online. So if you do want to connect with the real energy of Letha, even just to carry around some crystals, these are really wonderful ones to work with at this time of year. Animals that really closely correspond to this time of year are snakes, bees, wrens, robins and butterflies. And finally, trees that are really good to work with at this time of year are oak, laurel, linden, holly, elder and beech. Now, those are the general correspondences of Letha, but of course there are lots and lots more online, and as always I have linked some really good links down in the description box for anyone that wants to learn a little bit more. So how can you actually celebrate Letha? I've compiled a quick list of things you can do if you're in the broom closet and out of it. Now, as always, it's important that you do what you are comfortable with. Not everyone is going to be able to do everything on this list, and you don't have to do anything on this list if you don't want to or if you aren't able to. The most important thing when doing Sabbath celebrations is that you are doing something that you feel is appropriate for that Sabbath. It doesn't matter whether you're in the broom closet or out of it. The most important thing is that your intention and your desire is there. You can do something very, very simple for the Sabbath, and that is completely fine if that is all you want to do or all you can do. And please remember that none of these things are set in stone. If you want to tweak them, alter them, change them to suit your personal lifestyle and your personal situation, then you do you. That is the most important thing. So I'm going to be starting with things you can do if you're in the broom closet. Now, of course, not everyone is going to be able to do these things, but if you can, they're really wonderful ways of really subtly working with the energy of the Sabbath. So the first thing is wearing the colours of the Sabbath. This Sabbath has some really vibrant and vivid colours, and so it's really nice to be able to wear something of the Sabbath as we go about our daily lives. So wearing something that is blue, green, gold, orange or red are really, really good at this time of year. It can be something as intricate as a full body outfit, or it can be something as simple as just a pair of earrings or a pair of socks. You really don't have to go nuts if you don't want to, but it is a great way of doing something for the Sabbath if you can't do anything else. So the next thing you can do if you're in the broom closet or out of it is to watch the sunrise and the sunset on the summer solstice. Now, the sun plays a really important role in Letha. It is one of the core aspects of this celebration, and because of that, it's really wonderful to get up and watch the sunrise and then watch it set of an evening. And it's also something that you can do whether you're in the broom closet or out of it, because all you have to do is just wake up early enough and be able to watch it out of a window. You don't even need to leave your home if you don't want to. If you can, it's really great to get out into nature to watch the sunrise and the sunset, but of course not everyone is going to be able to do this. Just watching it rise and set and understanding the significance of it, that this moment, the moment of sunrise and sunset, is going to change from that point onwards, gives this day a real significance. And if you can get up and stay awake and really appreciate that, that is a wonderful way of celebrating the Sabbath. So another great thing you can do for Letha is to get outside. It is, after all, the longest day of the year, and if you can, just going outside for a walk in nature or around the local park is a really great way to celebrate it. If you can, head out to very vast open areas and just enjoy the greenery and the weather. But of course, do so safely, as always. But it is a really great day to get out and just appreciate nature. So if you can just take a lunch break off, if you can just go to the local park, it's a wonderful way of expressing yourself on the Sabbath, just being able to enjoy nature. And that leads me on to the next thing, which is undertaking some Letha meditation. This is particularly good, specifically on the summer solstice, and it's even better if you can get outside and do it. If while you're outside in nature, you can just take 5, 10, 15 minutes just to sit and meditate surrounded by nature, really connect to it and feel the energy of it. It is a wonderful way of enjoying the energy of Letha without having to do anything overly elaborate. Now at this time of year, it's also really nice to do some grounding, to ground any of that unwanted energy that you don't want around. And you can draw up some of the energy of the earth that is so prosperous at this time of year. So if while you're out there and you've just finished your meditation, you can do a little bit of grounding as well, that would be fantastic. It's really great for connecting us to the earth, of drawing on that energy and really cementing our relationship with the earth that we live on and everything that that involves. Now, if you're in the broom closet and you happen to have crystals, today is the day that is best to do solar charging. Now, a lot of people charge their crystals by the moon, but you can also charge crystals by the sun, and Letha is the best day to be charging your crystals if you want really strong solar energy. Now, of course, don't do this with any crystals that are going to get damaged by the sun, so something like amethyst should not be put in direct sunlight. But most crystals are perfectly fine in sunlight, and even just taking them outside, even if it's just on your walk and just letting them sit in the sun for a couple of minutes to really soak up that energy, it can be a great way of bringing that Letha energy with you for the rest of the year. It's a really great and almost ceremonial thing to do at this time of year if you can't do anything else. Now, I know that not everyone is going to have access to crystals if you're in the broom closet, but if you do, even just a couple, then this is a really great thing you can do with the ones that you have. And the last thing that I've got that's rather easy to do, even if you're in the broom closet, is to eat some food of Letha. Now, at this time of year, it's really good to be eating locally grown, locally harvested food, especially stuff that's in season. This is the time of year where people would feel that the abundance was coming about. It was the time of year where people no longer had to be eating the stores from winter. Instead, the fruit is starting to grow and everything is coming into season, and they can have fresh produce again that's really easily accessible. So if you can go to a local farm shop, or if you grow your own herbs, it's a great time to be eating fresh, locally grown foods. Now, it's also a really good time to be participating in drinking a fruit juice. If you can get hold of things like cider, if you're of drinking age, then that's a really great thing to drink at this time of year, as well as fairy wine or mead. Now, other great things that you can have at this time of year is something known as Letha bread. I've left some recipes down in the description box, and on the surface, it looks like any other bread recipe. So if you did want to get baking, this is a really, really wonderful time to do it. And also at this time of year, it's really good to be making light cookies. So things like honey, lemon and lavender cookies are really good at this time of year because you draw on everything that's around you in nature. You get the fruit, the flowers and the honey that is produced likely locally around you. So it's a really good time of year to be doing some baking, especially with friends and family. And you don't really have to worry about them knowing that it's for Letha, because these kind of cookie recipes can genuinely be found anywhere online and they look completely normal. It is only you that has to know that you're baking them and eating them for Letha. So next I'm going to be talking about the things you can do if you're out of the broom closet. Now, of course, if you're in the broom closet and you can do all of these things, then do them. There is no restriction on what you can and cannot do for Letha as long as you are able to and as long as you feel comfortable doing it. I've simply put the division here because this seems like the most organic place to put it, and it's also rather likely that if anyone's very deep in the broom closet, they aren't going to be able to do a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about. So the first thing is creating a Letha altar. I've already posted my Letha altar on YouTube, so if anyone wants to see that, I'll put a link down in the description box and I'll put it in the card that's in the corner of the screen. Now, Letha altars are wonderful. A lot of them are really colourful and vibrant and really beautiful. So if you have a space where you're able to create a Sabbat altar to celebrate this time of year, that is absolutely fantastic. Using the correspondences I talked about earlier is also really, really useful for creating them, especially when it comes to the colour schemes and the crystals and the herbs and anything else you want to add onto an altar. So a really common thing to do at Letha is to create a midsummer bonfire. Now these have lots and lots of purposes. It can be simply so that you can stay up and stay outside and watch the sun set and still be nice and cozy and warm. But they can also be used for lots of magical reasons. A lot of people will create spell items and pass them over the midsummer bonfire to charge them with energy before they use them for the rest of the year. Spell items that were used in the previous seasons are also burned in the midsummer bonfire to release their energy. This is especially true for protection charms. Any charms and amulets that you are using for protection from Yule to Letha are generally burned in the midsummer bonfire to release their energy. It's also a really great way of doing outdoor ceremonies. So if you are with a coven or if you have a group of practitioners and you like to come together at the Sabbats, this is a really wonderful way of bringing everyone together. Make a collective bonfire and enjoy it together. Sing and dance around the fire. Music is a really wonderful way to bring in the new half of the year. It's also a really great time to burn wishes in the bonfire for the next cycle of the year, and it is really, really good for burning some ceremonial incense to kind of bring that energy into the space that you're at while you're enjoying nature during the midsummer solstice. Now, on the same note is the idea of creating oils and incense for this time of year. There are lots and lots of recipes online and I have linked them down in the description box, but making loose incense is really, really great. Whether you're going to be burning it inside in a cauldron or outside in a bonfire, loose herbal incense is so, so wonderful to burn. You can also make your own Letha oil to anoint on yourself if you're doing any ceremonies or rituals during Letha, but also to dress candles with to burn them during Sabbat celebrations. Now, as with everything that I'm going to be talking about, please do all of this safely. Make sure you know the properties of all the herbs that you're putting in to the oil and the incense so you're not going to be hurting yourself. And anything that is going to be burned, please do so safely. So please always take great precautions when you're going to be creating bonfires, as well as when you're going to be burning candles and incense. We don't want anyone getting hurt on Letha. So a wonderful thing that you can do on Letha is to visit sacred sites. Now in the UK where I am, you can actually go to Stonehenge on the summer solstice and you are allowed to walk among the stones and enjoy the celebration that happens within a very ancient sacred site. So if you're able to do something like that, that would be fantastic to do at Letha. But of course, not everyone is able to do that. Sacred sites don't have to just be ones of Neolithic importance. In fact, you can just go to a site that you find particularly sacred. If there's a woodland that you feel drawn to, or even just a spot in your own back garden, if it's somewhere that feels special to you, spend some time there and enjoy it. If you're able to go to a historical site of significance for you, that's really, really wonderful as well. But if you can get out and go to somewhere that holds some real deep spiritual significance for you, that's something that can be really, really good to do at Letha. Now, Letha is a really wonderful time to create your own magical tools. Now, it is a really significant and pivotal point in the year. It is the divide between the light and the dark. There's a lot of solar energy as well as magical energy that happens at this particular Sabbath. And so making magical tools at this time of year is really, really wonderful. Now, particularly popular tools to make at this time of year are staffs and wands, items that are really closely connected to masculine energy. But also items such as besoms, they're wonderful for creating at this time of year, as well as divination tools, particularly Oham. Now, Ogham is a Celtic system that uses tree symbolism in a divination set that you are able to foretell the future with. Now, the Ogham are particularly good at creating at this time of year, especially during the midsummer season. So it's definitely something to look into if you're interested in Celtic magic, tree magic, and Celtic divination methods. Now, going with the idea of the Ogham is the use of divination tools at Letha. Now, Letha is a time of fortune telling, of divination, of foretelling the future. Letha is, in my opinion, one of the best times of year to do half-cycle divination. So this is divination from Letha to Yule. But you can also do divination simply till the next Sabbat, or just the next few days, weeks, or months. But it is a really wonderful time for doing divination work, particularly divination that's done outside. So anything from runes and tarot to Ogham to pendulum work to tasseomancy, whatever you fancy. It's a great time to learn as well as practice and read your divination tools and kind of master the techniques that you're interested in learning more about. It's a really wonderful time for sharing the knowledge with others, so if you have any friends that are interested in kind of learning and getting started on divination, it's a great time to share knowledge as well. So it's a really wonderful time to be doing divination, both for yourself and for others. So at this time of the year, it is the season of the trooping of the Fae. Now, this is a time where the Fae that live in this plane gather together and migrate around the country, visiting different houses and different locations that are of significance. And at this time of year, it's a really wonderful time to start studying, connecting with, and leaving offerings for the Fae. So if you're interested in the Fae, it's a great time to get some books, to do some research, to gather your knowledge together on the Fae so that you can choose to work with them if you decide to. It's also a great time to connect with them, to call them into workings, to ask for them to assist you, as long as you've left them something in return. And so it's a great time of the year to be leaving out offerings for the Fae, or to start leaving out offerings for the Fae. So if you're interested in building that relationship with them, this is a really, really good time to do that, as they are traveling a lot more than they typically do for the rest of the year. Now, herbs do have quite a lot of significance at this time of year. Not only are they very useful in cooking and healing, they're also really good for magic as well. So it's great if you can gather your own herbs at this time of year. Go out and collect your own. Just make sure you take a guidebook with you so you know exactly what you're going to be collecting. And if you do take anything, please be sure not to take more than 20% of what a plant has to offer, so that you leave it enough to survive and to reproduce. And also leave some offerings behind if you can. This can be something as simple as some energy or some water, just something that can help them continue their growth and to give thanks for the herbs that you have taken. It's also a great time for drying the herbs. These can then go into incenses if you're interested. You can use them in cooking as long as it's safe to do so. It's also a great time of the year to be making items that include herbs. So floral waters are really great at this time of year. So making some rose water is a really easy and effective thing that you can do, not only for your skincare routine, but also for your magical practice with the items that you collect during your Letha foraging. So if you know someone, or if you have access to some rose petals, making some rose water is really good to not only use within your magical practice, but also within your skincare if that's something that you'd be interested in. Now, other things to do with cooking and making is the making of fairy wine. Now, fairy wine is really good for leaving as an offering to the Fae. It can be both alcoholic and non-alcoholic if you choose to. And there are lots and lots of recipes online for how you can make it. If you can make it in advance, that would be fantastic, because if you're lucky, you might be able to have some for Letha itself. But if not, it's a great way to bring that energy of the Fae and the idea of using the items around you to create something that you can then use later on in the year. It's really, really fun to do with other people if you know some people that would be interested, and there are lots and lots of recipes that give really easy step-by-step guides for creating your own fairy wine. And now the last thing that you can do to celebrate Letha is to do some spell work. It is a really powerful time of the year, and so lots and lots of spells are really successful surrounding the summer solstice and Letha in general. Now, particularly, it is a time where any protection amulets or charms that you've created at Imbolc or Yule are often taken away from the home and burned within midsummer bonfires. On Letha, you then create new protection charms, pass them across the fire to imbue them with energy, and then use them for the next 6 months till Yule in your home. Now, it's also a good time to destroy Yule wreaths if you have them, to release that energy and to bring in a new phase of the year. Now, in terms of spell work, there's lots of spells that you can do. Protection work is the most popular, but there are also fertility spells, happiness, love, luck, money, almost anything you can think of is really powerful at this abundant time of the year. It is also a really great time to create witches' ladders and not magic, and traditionally they're passed over the fire before they are used. But it's certainly a really interesting spell working technique that, if you've never studied before, is really fascinating to use at Letha. And it's one of the most common times when this is done. You'll often see covens or groups making whole batches of witches' ladders to be used within their homes for protection work. It's a really great time of the year, honestly, to be doing all forms of working, especially as the sun rises and as the sun sets. These are particularly powerful times for spell work at Letha. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it useful. I'm sorry if I've missed anything out. I can't fit everything into one of these videos. They're just going to be too long if I try to fit everything in. But I hope that I've given you some ideas for the things that you can do to help celebrate Letha, whether you're in the broom closet or out of it. So if you enjoyed this video, if you could give it a like, that would really mean so much to me. I'd love to know what you guys are going to be doing for Letha. Let me know down in the comments section, or if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or video ideas, feel free to post them down there as well. And if you enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday and every Saturday at 6 p.m. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you have a marvelous magical day and a blessed Letha, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!